I hate it here and I want out, according to Rescue from Reddit. If you didn't know, Orlando has their own subreddit, and someone posed a really interesting question, which was, what is your unpopular Orlando opinion? So I figured I'd just turn the camera on, we'll go through these together, and make sure to comment down below your unpopular opinion about the city. All right, so the first submission here is by HerodanTV, and it says, I like using my turn signal with 710 upvotes. The reason why someone might say this is Orlando is a tourist destination. Over the past year, or this year, depending on when I actually released the video, we had over 70 million visitors, guys, to Orlando. 70 million people either coming for their first time, their second time. They're not everyday travelers to Orlando, and so it's a lot of adjusting to them as locals because they're trying to, find their way around. But hey, as a fellow turn signal user, I approve this message. Going down, Mr. Burple Perry says, the city does not have the infrastructure for this many people. I agree. I think we definitely have ways to go in Orlando in regards to accommodating the amount of wonderful, beautiful, amazing people that are calling it home. It's certainly something that won't happen overnight, and some might argue that it's moving too slow, but there's billions of dollars in the works for road projects here in Orlando. I think a big thing that we are lacking and a lot of local people want, and I've even gotten some pushback based on some of my videos, and I've learned from them, is public transport. Bolstering the public transit sector in Orlando is going to be a key vital piece. Currently, we're certainly cracking at the seams in certain areas, but as we progress forward, if these projects do come online and they get done, I think we will be in a much better spot. Funny enough, right below that, Kartra says, actually, the traffic could be worse, which I also agree. I think some people tend to say Orlando has like the worst traffic in the US. I think that is much of an exaggeration, but certainly way more than we had like 5 years ago, which is when I initially moved, like end of 2015. Forte _NSS says, Orlando is actually a really fun, varied place with a lot of culture if you know where to look. There's a lot to do, see, and eat, but you actually have to take time to get to know the city, especially outside of the Disney bubble. I couldn't agree more, which is why I started up that whole podcast and interview series that will be more and more on the channel, interviewing both my past clients and just people in the community, because I want people to understand what life is truly like living in the different parts of town. Over in Claremont, Vanessa from Claremont Local touched on some amazing spots in the area that has nothing to do with Disney, so far removed from the tourist scene, and they're not like chain Chili's, Applebee's, and that stuff, which is cool, but each place in Orlando really does have some unique flair to it, and I think I want to expose that more, especially going into the new year. N_Momo Zono says, the theme parks are fun and it's great that they drive so much tourism and growth. Orlando wouldn't be as culturally diverse without so many people wanting to visit and move here because of them. I agree. Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, the convention center even. It's really a big draw to get people to at least know Orlando, and then you kind of just disperse from there. I talk to a lot of people who reach out from the channel, and initially they always say, hey Mario, I kind of know Disney, I've been to Orlando a couple times, but I've never really ventured outside of that. And so even though they didn't venture outside of Disney on their initial visit, it at least piques their interest as to what life may be like living in the area because they came in the first place for Disney, and then once they're here, they're exploring outside of the Disney bubble and really just enjoying local Orlando life, which I think is an amazing thing. So I totally agree with that. Quick intermission to say, if you are interested in buying a home anywhere in the Orlando area, I'd love to partner with you as your real estate agent. Feel free to email me info@orlandowithmario.com or book a quick 30-minute call in the description below. Billy Big Kid says, public subs are below average. I'd just like to apologize on his behalf for saying something so inaccurate. Rightfully so, the guy below it says, sir, this isn't an Orlando specific death sentence, it's a Florida one. That is completely blasphemous. Treason, 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 treason. Doc_Birdman says, I love the people of Orlando and I think they're generally some of the most kind, considerate, compassionate, and genuine people. I think a lot of people underestimate how much of a melting pot Orlando is. It is truly diverse. A lot of people come from a lot of different areas. And if you watch or listen, actually, because it's not in the video, the full pod with Vanessa, she touched on that. That's actually surprised her the most about moving to Claremont and really the Orlando area in general, is just how diverse it is. I don't think a lot of people think about that initially. It's been a point of concern for clients of mine moving to the area once they've actually gotten here. it has completely changed their perspective every single time. I haven't had one person be like, ah, yes, it confirms my suspicion. So definitely something to check out, feel, and see for yourself. Lost Florida guy says, if Orlando wants to be a big boy city, it needs real public transit. Seems everyone in Central Florida hates the idea of mass transit, if any form. I gotta be honest, I was one of said people. I just never really seen the mass transition from people driving their cars to go taking the bus or taking the train. I think the Bright Line sort of changed my perspective on that somewhat. Growing up in Jamaica, public transit is everything. That's how most people get around, and most people hate public transit. They wish they could get a car. And so coming here and having the freedom to get a car, my perspective is a little bit warped in that sense, I will say. So I certainly am on board for more public transit. I think it helps everyone, both people who drive and who don't drive. PKH0812 says, Orlando is a world-class food city. Now, we did get rated the #1 foodie city in America for 2023. I'll leave that up to you to decide. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with that statement. But what I will say is, when you have a melting pot such as Orlando, where everyone is coming from everywhere else, they also bring their cuisines here. And so I think we have a really strong blend, everything from Asian to Mexican to Colombian to Peruvian. I'm actually gonna go out to try an Italian spot tomorrow. Apparently it's the best Italian deli in Orlando. It's called Stasio's. I'll let you know how that went. But I think we have everything here in Orlando. Our food scene is slept on for sure. And circling back to Mr. Rescue, I hit it here and I want out. I think that is certainly an unfortunate position to be in. I think everyone should love where they live, right? I think Orlando is certainly maybe not for everybody, even though I would like to think it is. Maybe some people do prefer other areas. I was just talking to somebody yesterday and they were like, hey, I want to go to Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, everyone has their different taste, but I think a lot of people will love Orlando and want in instead of wanting out.